Hello, everyone. Phil Turek here. Weekly update. This is Monday, November 6th, 2023. And I'm going to talk a little bit about social fabric today, but this will be kind of a short talk today. All right. First of all, let's do something like an update for what's been going on this past week. Uh, First, I'll start off with talking about the Hollywood producer. So I did communicate with him back and forth by email, and he's a interesting fellow, very nice, good website. Shared with me a video presentation that he did, and bottom line is no bucks, no buck riders. Quote from one of the earlier space movies, I think The Right Stuff. And so it goes like this. As a Hollywood producer, you are either doing your own project or someone hires you to do their project. And what I'm doing is not his project, and I have no money to hire him to do this project for me. So this is as far as we go for now with in this direction. And I didn't even bother asking what his rates are. I don't know. Does it take millions of dollars to do a production? Don't know. What I would do is here hope to eventually interview people through Zoom or in person and include those as interviews that I upload to this website, because I'm not trying to create a reality TV show that's like Big Brother. I'm trying to create a reality docuseries that's more like Dr. Oakley, Yukon Vet. All right, so much for the Hollywood producer. Next, I did go to the most recent meeting of the AIAA and talk with their session chair. And what he had to say was basically, all right, I should prepare and give a talk and write an article to get my message out amongst the AIAA. Now, they're a professional aerospace engineering organization. They're not, the Mars Society, something like that. So I'm already in my mind structuring what I would give as a talk and how I would structure it. And I'm looking forward to working on that. So progress there. Also from last week, 5 different high school students kind of stepped forward and said they would like to help me out with my undertaking here. And so I would involve them with preparing an article and a talk for the AIAA. And my best use of them, I would say, is to have them do sort of like a proof of concept. So I've created a draft request for proposals. What would it take to create a visual representation of a first settlement on Mars for, let's say, 53 full-time people and no more than 12, I think, people coming and going at any one time. So I'm going to involve these students in seeing what they can come up with without having to reinvent the wheel completely. Like, what does the internet already offer by way of tools to size a settlement and then visualize what that would look like? And then try to take into account some realism along the way. And then ideally, from my point of view, these students will be part of the talk I give at the AIAA. One more thing I just kind of wanted to share with you. So today's message, I suppose, would be social fabric, I'm going to call it. And here in the United States, we have a tradition on the last day of October each year to celebrate Halloween. And it's the day before All Saints Day, and it just evolved into this thing here where we are expecting kids to dress up in scary costumes and go around the neighborhood and go trick or treating. And you, the homeowner, you greet them at the door and reward them with some sort of candy or something. Well, I did something slightly different this year. So I live in a suburban neighborhood here in Los Angeles. And what I did is I pulled out my telescope and I set it up on our front driveway. And when trick-or-treaters came along and their parents, I invited them to look and see the rings of Saturn, which were well placed in the evening sky this Halloween. And so that was something totally different And why am I calling that social fabric? Because, well, there was a kind of a heavy article written. You want to actually study something, you can go to this website here and say, wow, here's how psychologists and others study human behavior. And I know it's not a very happy looking title there, but there are just a couple of points from it that I'd like to share with you. And people like to be in a safe and orderly environment. And so these people were putting out their hypothesis about what is it, why there's violence in some areas, right? Why is, gun violence in this one little tiny spot? It's something like 1.5% of the population accounts for 26% of gun homicides in the United States. Okay, so the United States is like a world leader in gun violence. And this particular paper was just saying part of what it takes to not have gun violence is for people to feel connected to other people in their community. And one example they cited is, okay, so if a bunch of kids start playing together spontaneously somewhere in your neighborhood, does anyone look out for how they're doing and how they're getting along? It's kind of a yes or no question on that, right? If people in your community do look out for them, then that's an example of this social cohesiveness. Oh gosh, efficacy was the word that they were using. The power to make a change in your environment, efficacy. And so my thought to share with you this week is, I feel like when I pulled my telescope out, this is a safe neighborhood, relatively speaking. And I didn't want to, leave the telescope out there unattended, but I felt comfortable having it out there and inviting people to come look through it. And let's see, in this neighborhood, there were at least 3 different languages being spoken by the people coming to look through, and some people had to, translate for their older members in their family group that were coming around. But it was kind of universal that people were excited to see the rings of Saturn. And it's just one little tiny social connection that I made with my immediate neighbors. There were maybe 2, maybe 3 dozen total people who came by for trick or treating and looked through the telescope, but that's something. And so I just want to kind of give you some encouragement. Try to care about the neighborhood that you live in a little bit and strengthen the social fabric that exists where you live. And that little bit on a small scale, we're a big tapestry that makes up the United States, over 330 million people. But what little thing you can do to just make your environment nicer is something to consider. Just watched the movie Naiad the other night, and here's a quote from a poet that was influential to the main character in the movie. I would recommend the movie to you. So Mary Oliver, the poet, wrote, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Okay, so another quote I can share with you from some other source was, there's no point in regretting yesterday, and you don't want to be paralyzed with fear about tomorrow. So you've got today to work with. And what are you going to do with today to make it a good day for yourself? So that's kind of my weekly update for now. I'm going to be working with those 5 students, high school students this week, trying to set up a mechanism for them to do the first step, maybe work out some visualization of what a settlement would look like on Mars. Later on, the second step will be, okay, so what would it take to create an analog of that settlement here on Earth where we could actually cycle people through it? Again, the plan is every 2 weeks, follow the pattern of filling in the population until we get to a steady state of 53 people over a span of one field season, as they would call it at the Mars Society. And, just see what these students can work out on paper, pretty much, for what could be done, and then present that to the AIAA and encourage them to say, okay, who among the membership here is connected to the resources it would take to actually do this for real. So that's the plan for this week. And for yourself, just think of something nice you can do. Maybe the guy across the street is struggling with using a cane to get around. You make some homemade cookies or something, you could share them with the guy across the street. So do something nice this week, and that's it for now. All right, bye. And forgot to show the last slide, which includes references. Okay, great. Bye.